something like, I have crossed oceans of time to reunite with you. And so it was considered an extremely romantic version of the Dracula story for this very reason, that he had survived over all those centuries, sucked all that blood from those other people just so he could finally reunite with his wife. And so that's what this monologue is based on. I wrote it, but this will be my first time performing it. I'm just going to be reading it in my regular California accent. I'm not going to be attempting a Czechoslovakian or Transylvanian accent. Maybe next performance. My loveliest, they say to kill Dracul, a wooden stake through hearts enough. Ha! Such fools! If such were true, the stake your early death, quite death mine own, drove through my bleeding heart, already were annihilation full. That spindle, threaded full of flesh, that fell the battlements, the castle heights, unto cruel, unforgiving stone, unspooling all my heart, each every thread of you, and for a lie, a vicious rumor, that a word, a tongue on teeth, with whispered breath. How oft these teeth and tongue did whisper intertwine with yours, could be the instrument of all that flayed my life of living skin, your touch. I'm skinless, cannot be caressed without your touch. That spool of all our vows, your heart hurled off the turrets, drained me quite of blood. My veins, vain husk and empty straw, so that I hunger ever since. No blood enough, no heart so big enough transfuse that love that faded when you fell, so that I drink and drink, but ever thirst. I'm parched. What God was love, and died when love had died. I'd open rivers of red blood for God, sluiced infidels, sliced veins of crimson splurge for God, but every deity did die when love, my God, lay dead before my eyes. They say that war is a senseless thing. They're right. Without a reason, motivation, cause, some holy justice on one side, what is the point? Why spill that blood for naught? The hearts of heartless men require blood to fill their veins, and I should know, for I've no heart but yours, which now is dust. I fought their wars, believed it all for good, for all for God, a God of love. But now I know that God is dead. Too silent did he stay, too cold. While on cold stones I beat the cobbled floor and prayed, no, begged through spittle of my tears, except my rasping howls, all quiet. Not a sign, a trace, no answer, no salvation. You were dust, but broken clay before my blurry eyes. I should have died that day, that very hour. That would be mercy. And yet the centuries lost their control of hourglasses in my flesh. The sand too slowly fell, hung in the air like dust. I watched companions come and go. I ripped the bitter pages of the calendars. Like autumn leaves they fell, and from whose rot arose new leaves again. I thirsted, and when drank, my flesh was spring again a time, though tissened with the bitterness of gall and hemlock, for that life flowed on without you. And it flowed quite endlessly. No more the spill of blood for naught and country, king and god and priest. Instead, I drank that blood. The very blood that stole your heart from me while I was off at war. I now took back. And all that time, what time you cannot tell, locked in the marble of your catacomb, how many winters stained the stone with snow, erosion eating snowflakes from the rock, and time, his hand of inquisition etched initials yearly on your headstone. I vowed to the icicles of stars, for they were cold, and to the gnarled barks of yews that lined the smoking cemeteries, to the breaky bowers of the icy wolves. I vowed to bones the earth had sucked, to bogs that reeked of blood coagulated, ash of yearly bonfires, to the bloody moons of harvest, I would find you. For I saw that all of life returned each century, and I had time. I watched the winter fade, the emerald leaves to orange fire, then to ash that faded cold on emptied boughs. Believe me, all was winter for me. Then, each spring, watched as those lifeless limbs puffed out their budding blemishes to greenest leaves again, I saw a secret. Knew that time could be seduced or wooed if one would wait. And my voluptuous sips simmered ripe and sultry flesh about me everywhere. The blood bestowing time again and time. So I had patience. I had faith. What faith I never knew, a faith against all faith. The echo of your haunted, faded love. Oh, it never faded. In these borrowed veins, indebted to the thousands, still you run. Like Exodus, I parted the Red Sea, incarnadined those oceans full of time to cross to thee, my promised land, my love. I waded through the drowning depths for you, each decade whelming wave above my head for you, for you, for you. This flesh endured so many heartless centuries, such spill of thousand thefted bit transfusions, all to find you, all to make it through the years, till you returned. And now, at last, you have. Your mind may think this horror. Close your eyes. Listen inside to veins, for there she flows, from echoes of the centuries, my wife, your soul, these eyes, that blood, this love, my life. The heart of heartless me beats yet in you. Thank you.
Yeah.